Hey everyone, it's Josh and welcome to the Weld Bench. Today we're going to be working on this underground tank lid that needs a vent tube made and welded in, as well as some repairs made on some subpar welds by whoever originally made this thing. So let's go ahead and get started. First up, I'm going to cut the threads off one side of this 4-inch pipe to turn it into the new vent pipe. After that gets cleaned up, we get our lid set up with the Hypertherm plasma cutter to cut out the 4-inch hole for that vent tube that we just made. The hole was already laid out and positioned by my client, so it'll be a quick and easy job. Also, before anyone starts yelling at me in the comments, yes, I know acorn tables are not for cutting. However, this one is beyond repair and is used for a little bit of everything around the shop. Also, yes, I know I should have a face shield on to protect my face from arc burns and spark burns, but do as I say, not as I do, everyone. That's why you're here to learn. Once done with the cut, I'll get the new hole cleaned up and test fit that freshly cut 4-inch vent pipe to make sure it's a good fit. If it's a little bit tight, we'll go in there with a Dremel, clean that cut up, knock off any type of dross from the cut, and get this into position. Now we get our vent tube properly positioned. This tube is being spaced, that way we have about 2 inches sticking out in the bottom with the threaded side sticking up for access. This needs to be pretty straight, but the client has loose tolerances of about 1/8 of an inch, give or take. I'm going to be running dual shield FCAW E71T1M wire for this job with a 75-25 gas blend. It'll be faster than SMAW with 6010 or 7018, stronger than a short circuit MIG weld due to the thickness of the material, and as much as I love GTAW, this material is far too contaminated to even bother trying it. It would take way too much prep work for the time that I have quota into the job. I get the vent tube in line and tacked around to prevent from pulling when I fully weld it out. I make sure to check the vent tube position between tacks, and once tacked up, it'll be ready positioned for final welding on both sides, where I'll put the root pass in on each side and then go ahead and weld it out with one more full layer just to make sure that the tube isn't going anywhere. Okay, now it's the fun time, welding it out. I'm starting the bottom side of the vent tube since it won't hold any form of pressure. I'm not worried about running one long continuous weld bead around it. Instead, I weld it out in quarters, repositioning myself as needed to help stay comfortable. The key to a good quality weld is staying as comfortable as possible whenever possible. I'll weld the root pass on the back, then flip it and weld the root on the top to lock the vent tube into place before putting on my cap passes. Now, my phone did die while recording the last 2 layers and the weld repair I made, but let's take a look at the finished product. What we have here is the welds on the bottom side of that vent tube. So I ran a root pass and then capped it off with a layer of 2 more welds. After that, we had that damaged weld, the one that had the overlap, which is actually a lack of fusion discontinuity if you weren't aware. And then finally, the final welds on the top side of that vent tube. Like always, if you enjoyed this video, please help and support our channel by leaving a like, comment, subscribe, and share. Until next time, keep welding, keep learning, and keep watching the Weld Bench, everybody.